What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right. Before I go into the video, I want to give a shout out to Town Biz for his two videos talking about the Eddie Murphy return. He talked about the Bill Cosby joke that he made during his monologue, which I'll give my opinion on, and he talked about Eddie Murphy's uh, performance overall. So, shout out to Town Biz. If you're not subscribed to Town Biz, please subscribe to Town Biz. Now, here is my first of all, to anybody that is out there trying to minimize Eddie Murphy's impact on that show, fuck you. Okay. If it were not for Eddie Murphy, first of all, let me give you a little history about that show. All right. That show started off with guys like Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, excuse me, Chevy Chase, Jane Curtin, Elaine Newman, Garrett Morris, and Gilda Radner. Hope I didn't miss anybody. You had some recurring players, but those were the main guys. All right. After the first season, Chevy Chase left, and he was replaced by none other than Bill Murray. If anything, the show got better. And from 1976, that was the second season, through 1980, they were the gold standard. All right. They made Saturday Night Live. But then when those guys left, the not ready for primetime players, as they were known, that 80-81 season was absolutely brutal. Okay. So brutal because Lorne Michaels had left, I believe, after that season, after 80. I think he left. He would come back in the mid 80s, but he left. That season was so bad that Saturday Night Live was pretty much, it was going to be canceled. But if I'm not mistaken, it's been a while since I read intimately about that whole early 80s situation. But whoever was at the helm was fired. And then I want to say it was Don Omeyer. It might have been him. He took over as the helm. They wanted somebody that they trusted with NBC. If they had failed that next season, Saturday Night Live would have not survived. It would have been canceled. But they decided to keep from that first that 80-81 cast. They decided to keep two people that I think joined toward the end of the season: Eddie Murphy and Joe Piscopo. That decision saved that show because over the next couple of years, especially Eddie Murphy, and to an extent Joe Piscopo, they saved that show and they carried that show. All right. Anybody want to minimize that? Oh, I mean, yeah, but you had no. You gonna give this black man credit? Goddamn it, he saved the goddamn show. Just like Bill Cosby saved NBC when they were running third place in the ratings. Third place. They're behind CBS, who I believe was number one, and ABC was number two. NBC was number three. And Bill Cosby turned that network around. They built their primetime Thursday night lineup around the Cosby Show. If I remember correctly, they put Cheers on, I think it was right after the Cosby Show or an hour after the Cosby Show. But I think it was right after the Cosby Show. And that Thursday night lineup was a killer. And Cheers became one of the highest rated shows in history. And for I think like a 3-year stretch, the Cosby Show was number one show on television. Don't ever forget that. And that's part of why Eddie Murphy made that joke. Eddie Murphy made that joke in his monologue 30 years ago. Who would have thought that I would be this boring stay-at-home dad and Bill Cosby would be in jail? He said, even I went and took that bet 30 years ago. You know? Because, I mean, look, was it mean-spirited? Yeah, it was kind of mean-spirited. You know, but I'm not gonna sit there and act like I didn't laugh at the irony of it because it's true. And Bill Cosby did used to go around on mainstream shows and put down black comedians. The thing that pissed me off about Bill Cosby, I remember it wasn't that long ago. It might have been like 2004, 3. I remember he was criticizing the youth of Black America, like for the way they dressed, the way we talked. He said, yeah, we would talk slang, but we also knew how to talk in proper English. Talking about his generation, and that all of our problems were our own. Accountability and all this type of shit, man. And it just rubbed me the wrong way because I don't like when it's a code. Look, do we have problems in our community? Absolutely. But it's a code with it, man. You don't go on mainstream television and shit on black people. I especially get pissed off when a black person talks as if they're excluded from the situation. If I'm going to go on TV, first of all, I'm going to go on a forum that's suited for the situation and talk to an audience that looks like me. And I'm always going to be inclusive. I'm going to say ours, our, we, us. I'm not going to sit there and act like I'm not a black person. That would piss me off about Bill Cosby. his hypocrisy and some of his coning and the ego. And he did shit on black comics. He shit on Eddie Murphy all the time. He used to give Richard Pryor backhanded compliments that were really insults. Like saying, well, Richard's funny, but, basically saying, like, Richard Pryor's funny, but, you know, I wish he would use, he doesn't have to use blue humor. He's better than that, basically. That's Richard Pryor's style. Look, first of all, Richard Pryor did try to be Bill Cosby and admitted it. If you look at Richard Pryor's early work from the 60s, when he was on the Ed Sullivan Show and all that, he had the process. He processed his hair, slicked his hair back, and basically was imitating Bill Cosby. But he wasn't being himself. One day he was on stage doing the Bill Cosby shtick, and supposedly he said to himself when he was on stage, "I can't do this anymore." He went away for comedy for a year, found himself, and then he came back this brilliant fucking artist. That's who he is. He's not you, Bill Cosby. Stop asking everybody to be you. So in a way, I don't really look. Do I feel like Bill Cosby got railroaded with that situation? Absolutely. Yes, he got railroaded with the rape. Look, that whole situation was bullshit. All right, and yeah, on that situation, I feel sorry for Bill Cosby because I think he got railroaded. But there's always this little part of me that feels like it was karma because of how he shitted on black comics. So, you know, it is what it is. I remember when Eddie Murphy went through his period of controversy back in the late 90s with the allegations. I don't even want to go into it. You know what I'm saying? I don't really remember a lot of people stepping up and speaking on Eddie Murphy's behalf. Definitely not Bill Cosby. You know? So it is what it is with the joke, man. I laughed at it, so I'm not going to sit and act like I didn't find the shit funny. Some people might thought it was in poor taste. Maybe he shouldn't have made it, but I'm pretty sure that Bill Cosby's comments over the years have hurt Eddie Murphy. and it hurt other people. But anyway, I love the little part in the monologue. Getting on the show, talking about the show now. I love the little part in the monologue where you had first Tracy Morgan come out, and then Chris Rock, and then Dave Chappelle. You know what I'm saying? I like the little joke that Dave Chappelle made when he said, talking about Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, and him, says half a Netflix budget standing up here. And then Tracy Morgan said, not me. I made my money on touring. I made my money touring. No. He said, I made my money on the road. And Eddie Murphy said, what do you mean, touring? He said, no, got hit by a bus. you know, uh, but, about the show itself, though, it was funny, okay? Like Tom Biz says, this isn't 1984, this is 2019, and we live in a much more PC culture. Uh, by far, the weakest sketch from last night was the Black Jeopardy sketch with Velvet Jones. Um, that sketch just wasn't funny. It wasn't funny at all. I think the next weakest sketch was that L sketch. I honestly, at that time, I kind of stopped even. I was watching, but I was starting to look at other shit. All right, those two sketches were the weakest. I thought the best sketch was a sketch that really wasn't a sketch. It was the Weekend Update with Gumby. I thought that was the funniest because, and I was talking to somebody at the time when I was watching it. I think Eddie Murphy was ad-libbing toward the latter part of that sketch. And you got a glimpse of what made Eddie. When Eddie's not as scripted and he's able to ad-lib and go off his instincts, that's when you see the genius. When he has to be held to like reading cue cards, sometimes it can limit him. The same problem that Richard Pryor used to have sometimes in movies. Like in certain scenes where he's just relying on the script and not able to ad lib, those are some of the movies where you got some directors like, I cannot have you going off script. I demand you go on script. You have to read the material. Come on, Jack, man. This shit ain't funny, man. I mean, I'm trying to make this movie better, man. Shit, man. You could either read the script or you could be replaced. Fuck it. In those movies, they weren't funny. You know, but I thought the Gumby jump was funny. The Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood sketch was funny. Um, uh, I thought the holiday family sketch where it shows the fake toasting versus the reality, I thought that was very funny. Um, all in all, I mean, if I was gonna give it like a letter grade, like from A to F, I would give the show a B minus. Um, just because of the comedy stylings today, it's just I don't know. I prefer Eddie Murphy more raw. You know what I'm saying? Last night was Eddie Murphy a little bit more tamed, a little older too. So, but he still was funny. But I would give him a B minus. If it was like a number grade, I would give the show a 7 out of 10, something like that. Um, but Eddie Murphy's back. I saw him in Dolomite on Netflix. That was a very good film. Um, and the only thing left now for Eddie Murphy to cross off his bucket list is stand up. And from what I understand, that's coming. Coming to America 2 is coming next year, I believe. I thought I saw like the release date was gonna be sometime during the summer. So Eddie Murphy is back, in a big way, So yeah, and then also there's some people out there that were complaining about race in the show. Look, man, look, just shut the fuck up about that, man. God, you know what pissed me off about people like that, right? Why does everything have to be about race? Why does everything look? Look. You can't. These are the same people, right? They're such hypocrites. They're the same people that complain about other people being PC, right? But you don't see yourself as being PC when you complain about race. So everybody else, when they complain about something, oh these liberals, I love to eat liberal tears. These liberals always complain about something. These liberals. Oh, these snowflakes. Look at them melting all over the place. But when you complain about a sketch that has something to do with race, you don't see yourself as a complainer. You don't see yourself as whining about PC shit. You're whining about a sketch talking about something that's actually going on, which is gentrification. You're whining about the fact that there's 4 black comics up there and they shoved off the white guy because, like, look, hey man, it's gonna be an all solid black junk up here. You know what I'm saying? You know, you want things to be the way they used to be. All right, you guys constantly complain about people crying about racism, right? But what it is, you want everybody to bow down to you. You want things to be the way they used to be when you guys can make fun of everybody else and nobody else could. Now it's the other way around. Or at least that's how you perceive it to be, and it pisses you off. So, at the end of the day, man, I think it was pretty good performed by Eddie Murphy. And, about Bill Cosby, man, like I said, he's a hypocrite, man. You know, I got sympathy for him, man, because I don't think he belongs where he is. But like I said, some people see it as karma. Because 30 years ago, I was the television dad. Theo used to come to me and talk about his girl problems and the problems in school. And I used to be like, Theo, Claire and I have raised you to become responsible adult. I don't feel as though you should be here anymore in the house. Oh, I need my time to get in the refrigerator, make myself sandwiches, and to eat my jello pop pudding in the room. Flared up and fiber. I am to the point where I'm no longer using intelligible words and flaring up and fly bop and flee fly and glop blop blue blop and flee flop. Because kids say the darn distinct of all. I used to be an I Spy with Robert Culp. Probably don't remember that first black man on network television. 29 years old. Then I did Fat Albert. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, Flared up before. Then I did Let's Uptown Saturday Night with Sidney Poitier, Sidney Poitier, and what? Then we did it again. Oh, then I did some stand up, but then I cleaned up myself even more so, shaved off my beard, showing down the afro. I became America's favorite dad. To the point where one time 40 million people a night used to watch the show. Then I did a TV show called Kids Do Say Darndest Things. Then I did the Cosby movie mystery theater detective show that didn't do too well. And then I moved to CBS and did another Cosby show that did pretty good with Madeline Kahn, but then she died on me. Then I started roasting comedians, semi-retired. Whoa, the allegations came and now I'm fucking in prison. It's bullshit.